Welcome, everybody, once again to Occultus Anonymous, our personal little corner of the internet. We are taking a break from our regular Mage the Awakening game to do a series of mini-series to give Drew some time to plan and plot our downfall and that sort of thing. And we're kicking off this break with a mini-series based around the crew of the USS Curie and running a Star Trek Adventures, picking up from where we left off last time. If you missed our miniseries last time, don't worry, the adventure's fairly self-contained. It's sort of a vignette in a series of adventures that the crew has during their mission. I think that's it for the preambles. So we'd like to thank Roll20 for sponsorship, and also our patrons who are contributing to us to allow us to pay for artwork and equipment and that kind of stuff. Specifically, Ryan, Thomas, Noba, Perry, Michael, Cat Feathers, Josh, Alexander, Puppeteer, Email, Moku, Melissa, Secret, FFL, Other Guy, Bernie, John, Al, Plank, Jenny, Zoltan, Funzu Surali, Milo V3, Vortex Falcon 00, Adele, Crazy Man 1772, George, Chris, Shaksara, Bald Action, Terrence Stephens, Ryafio, Ms. Grumpy, Bring Your Lunch Before You Boldly Go, Buck Farmer, Mozart D. Minor, Doggo DeLune, Foob, Clara, Shane, James, John, Klaus, Porter, Alsrit.
Hashtag bold anticipation.
Long live the Queen. Microsoft is an art mage. And Sean, thank you very much for your support. We really appreciate it. So I'll do a bit of a rules recap. So the Modiphius Star Trek Adventures system is based off of D20s. Generally, you're going to roll 2 D20s. Your target number is a combination of your attribute and discipline. And the attributes are things like control, fitness, presence, daring, insight, and reason. The disciplines are command, security, science, con, engineering, medicine, and they represent the specifics of the training and experience that you have. So if you have a control 10 and engineering 3, if I ask for a control engineering roll, you're going to take those numbers together, and your target number for your D20s will be a 13, and you count your number of successes. High numbers are bad, low numbers are good, ones are a crit. And for our players all have several focuses. If a focus applies, then anything below your discipline is a crit. So if a focus applies and your engineering is a 3, any roll that you have 3 or less counts as 2 successes. The game makes use of a mechanic called momentum. Any successes that the players get over and above what their difficulty is for a particular task can be banked as momentum, and that allows them to buy dice in the future. They can also give me threat dice that I can use for various things in order to get extra dice for their rolls as well. I also might give myself threat based on the underlying tension of the scene. You know, if there's 3 Klingon warbirds and there's a minefield, like I might start off with some threat off the bat, just to indicate how tense the situation is. We have values and determination. Every character has 1 or more values. These are sort of core principles behind the personality of the character. And during an adventure, they can call upon their value. And in one of 2 ways. They can either reinforce, or their value can reinforce what's going on, or they can challenge their value. So if a situation is coming up that causes them that their value is kind of in conflict with, they can challenge their value, and either way they get a determination that they can spend, which is basically a free success. Right. So before any dice are rolled, if you have a determination, that's 1 success, and everything else is gravy on top of that. If you're challenging the value, you may end up losing that value, and then you'll pick a new one for your character moving forward. I think that sort of covers the rules aspect. Any questions from the players?
Yes. How much determination do we start with? Can you remind me?
Everybody starts with 1 determination unless you have a specific talent that gives you more than 1.
Cool. Great.
Okay.
What about
I'll
starting
talk about
momentum?
verisimilitude. So the Star Trek intellectual property is a very fertile ground for those that like detail and exacting and a history, and that's cool. And I totally get that. That's not what we're doing here. We're using the Star Trek IP as the paints and canvas that we're using to paint a picture. So it may not represent the official lore. We may have 300 crew instead of the 276 that come with this particular model of starship and that kind of thing. We're not worried about those level of details in this game. Although if you are into that thing, I totally respect it, and there's definitely a place for this stuff. It's just not with us this time. So when we last left the crew of the USS Curie, they had started a 3-year mission. Back in the first days of Starfleet, the Constitution-class ships were built purposely to do a 5-year exploration mission in all the different parts of the galaxy. There were 12 ships that were put together and they sent out, and many of them never came back for various reasons. Ships were destroyed, or the ships were found later with the crew gone, and that kind of stuff. But the wealth of information that Starfleet and its allies gained from those missions was very valuable. So this is sort of a second kick at that particular can, with a series of ships that have been assigned a 3-year, smaller, narrower scope mission. And that's what the USS Curie is about. They're going deep into unexplored space. They're reporting back, leaving some subspace buoys to establish communications to far-flung places, find new life, new civilizations, and that kind of stuff. So that's the overall mission that they're on. Part of that last time we ran a session here was that they discovered a new port-capable species. And this is the dream of these sort of missions, is a first contact scenario. The first contact scenario ended up being somewhat complicated. It seems the Klingons had arrived before the Curie arrived and taken some important people for the civilization hostage. So the team had to sort of stealthily free those hostages, drive off the Klingons, and it involves some time travel and ancient technologies and lost civilizations, and it was a whole lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. But in the end, the Klingons were beaten with a possible ally among the Klingon fleet. Captain Chuchalor dealt with one of the Klingon captains very honorably and earned a modicum of respect, to the point where the captain said, "I hope we don't meet on the battlefield."
Yeah.
Which is sort of the Klingon version of "I love you." And the planet applied to join the Federation, and that's sort of where we start our narrative tonight. So the USS Curie spent 3 months on station within Nevade. As part of reinforcement, the USS Syracuse was redirected from their sort of parallel exploration mission to come and back you up for that period of time. And as you all know, the USS Syracuse is captained by the Andorian Kovac Shivari. So the two ships were in partnership and doing a lot of crew mixing during that time. It's a very productive time. You guys were learning a lot about the Nevade. And also, several of the crew commented to various members of senior staff that it's really good being here because they've never seen the captain so happy. Like one of them caught him humming in the corridor the other day and that kind of thing. And in the background, it's Chuchalor and Shivari of sort of an on-hold relationship, waiting for their careers to be winding down before they actually decide to do something serious, but they definitely get along very well. So after your 3-month stint there, when the diplomatic mission finally arrived, you guys left and resumed your exploration missions. Not long after you both departed, the Syracuse ran into some warp core trouble. Nothing serious, but it did cause them some delays, so they're a little bit behind you guys on their planned route. They're still close enough to provide support within a few days, but they are definitely a little farther away than they would normally have been. So for the last 5 months, you guys have been extremely productive. The Curie and the crew have been exactly built for this sort of mission. This is a long-distance Greyhound with awesome eyes and ears, and you guys, the crew and the ship have performed very well. You did encounter a strange new stellar phenomenon that ended up producing subspace eddies that posed a significant threat to the USS Curie. The resolution required an on-the-fly redesign of both the lateral sensor arrays which set the engineering team on edge for some time, but you made it through the danger with only minor damage and without any casualties, and you have a wealth of brand new, first time ever seen scientific data. Chief Engineer Jiffis reports that you've increased sensor range and resolution by approximately 13.744%.
Wow.
You communicated the changes back to Starfleet, and Commander Jiffis and his team received a commendation, and the USS Curry was mentioned in dispatch for their achievement. Feathering the cap for the captain and crew.
Indeed.
Also, during that 5-month period, you encountered a new race of warp-capable itinerant merchants called the Verkad, who had long ago abandoned their homeworld, like long, long ago, and they have taken to the stars and lived their entire life cycle on board their ships in small clan fleets. An away team traded for fresh supplies. Tricorters scanned everything as safe, and there was no problems. There was nothing in the screening. But it turns out that the biomes of the Verkad contain an organism that was undetectable by your normal sensors, but was pathogenic to many of the crew. The pathogen had the effect of lowering inhibitions and negatively impacting higher cognitive functions. This caused a great deal of chaos on board. Why don't you guys tell me what happened during that time with your characters? We can start out with
probably the captain.
The
captain.
Yeah, let's start out with Captain Chuchalor.
What was going on me
during that time? Sure.
Okay, fair, fine. All right. So, as we established in our first visit to the USS Lee, the captain and wing commander Winona Levine had an understanding based on mutual interest and shared traits. There was also some pseudo-romantic tension that they were able to dissipate because, they had the same kind of personality and inclinations. But for the sake of the crew, they decided not to act on that. Right? Well, after the events in the Vade, they became closer as friends because the captain came to recognize that he nearly lost all of these people he was responsible for. And so he spent a lot more time deliberately connecting with the members of the crew in the manner he's inclined, but being much more deliberate and focused and sharing affirmation and commendations where necessary, leaning on Commander Kitnial to help with that, of course, in the formal capacity, but being friendly and moving around. And so the crew started seeing him spending time with the wing commander as true friends. And although there were suspicions and rumors of romantic activity, no one ever saw them doing anything untoward. They would have dinner together in the mess, and they'd be walking around talking about stuff. But there was never anything to really support the rumors. People just said, well, they're spending so much time together, they must be doing something, right? Well, then, this pathogen infects the crew. And one night, the captain and the wing commander, after dinner, decide to visit a shuttle bay where she is going to make a pitch for a new upgrade for the fighters, for the fighter crew, right? And upon entering her personal fighter, and right at the pitch of the heated moment, the climax of the presentation, they lock eyes, and the mood gets more intense. And they suddenly start embracing each other.
Wait,
then
vampire now?
Right. Indeed. They commit diablo around
twist.
Each other. Yeah. Embrace. Reverse embrace. So they then immediately give in to their passions. However, they're very soon interrupted. You know, that kind of thing you see in a movie, right? Where people start kissing and then all of a sudden somebody gets a phone call or there's some abrupt interruption, right? A message from Commander Kitnial that there are reports of people exhibiting unusually uninhibited behavior on the ship, perhaps as a consequence of recent contact with that warp-capable race of itinerant merchants. And so, in response, Commander Kitnial hears a pregnant pause and then a very terse request from the captain that they meet him and Wing Commander Lamine in the shuttle bay and immediately escort them to see Dr. Hudson. And so when he arrives at the shuttle bay and comes into the Wing Commander's fighter, he sees that they are both individually, separately shackled to different bulkheads and straining at the manacles trying to get at each other. So it was definitely a tense time, I imagine, for Commander Kitnial in attempting to wrangle them to the doctors. Maybe not. Fair enough. But I think Dr. Hudson could tell that when they get there, that the two of them were clearly acting on the rumors, if not their own original inclinations.
And just to paint more of the backdrop for this, the reason this was particularly a tense time was because the Curie was approaching an ion storm, which required some precautions and there are definitely some things that needed to happen, and most of the crew was not doing them. So that's when Kitnial gets this call. So, Commander Kitnial, how are you handling yourself during this emergency?
Not to suggest that Nerjad Kitnial is above some base instincts, but these lower inhibitions are a little bit. It's less of a reproductive nature and more of a desire to be in charge. That usually just kind of goes the wayside, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, hang on, the captain is misbehaving. Okay, well, the captain solo, because that's like, he's not going to try and move both of the two. No. Wing Commander, you just stay in the shuttle, think about what you were doing. Captain, you're coming with me to Dr. Hudson, who I believe we determined, Chris, Dr. Hudson is like, yeah, no big deal. And I think Jiffus, I think we determined also was kind of just like, no big deal about some of this, but yeah, for Nerjad,
Jiffus was pawn farring, dude.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I knew a thing.
Yeah.
Hey, quick community update. I've watched one whole season of Star Trek since the last time we played this game.
Yeah, baby.
But
that was the one with the fuck or die episode, though, yeah?
Yep, pawn far. Yep. But yeah. No, Nerjad is basically just he went from being the commander of the ship to basically being the disapproving father of the ship, and just like it's leaning into his vice of wanting to be in charge, and the thing that they usually keep under control. And nope. Okay. Well, Captain, sorry. You need to be relieved of command for the time being until Dr. Hudson can fix you up. And yeah, so probably.
I imagine he expressed that too. Like, on the
that's
way.
True. Yeah.
Like he probably said in a husky voice, "Commander, I don't think I'm exactly fit for command."
Yep.
Definitely a difficult declaration for Chuchulor to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
During this time, our science officer, Commander Colin, you were affected by this as well, correct? So what was going on with you during this crisis?
Rilla is fist fighting anyone who even comes, like, in range. She's still in her office and, like, doing her work, but if anyone wants to come speak to her, you gotta fight.
You gotta throw down.
Yeah.
That's right. So all kinds of duels and challenges and, fighting in the corridors.
Yeah, just basically anytime, just on site.
Yeah, hold the lift, fight me!
Yeah, basically. She's having a great time.
Awesome.
I think everybody is having, for the most part.
Except for the few people that weren't affected. It's definitely very stressful.
They now have to babysit everyone else.
So the camera will now zoom in on Dr. Hudson, who there's like a New Year's Eve party going on in the sick bay. Yeah. As Dr. Hudson is working furiously to try and isolate the problem. How were you handling the whole situation? With most of your medical team basically out of the picture.
I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword for the doctor, because I mean, this is much like Nerjad. Dr. Hudson is has overcome this a little bit, but more confident in his abilities than he should be, but just he's willing and able to project. He knows how good he is and is not shy of talking about that. And he's not maybe the most understanding of conversational tact and stuff like that, and so he definitely like steps on people's toes. So this is like an opportunity to essentially be the hero, right? They just got to figure out how to get, start with the captain and a few other key members and start trying to run some tests and diagnostics. And it's a pathogen is not exactly like it's not like a disease, right? It's just like a
parasite or bacteria, that kind of thing.
It's it's adjacent to his like absolute like wheelhouse of his career and focus, right? So it's
no disease affecting the crew. I was built for this.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, it's an ongoing thing, but like, no, this is great.
This is why I joined Starfleet.
Yeah, I was going to say, anybody who joins Starfleet wants a fairly stressful job. If they're
right.
Yeah, pretty much. So it turns out that the centuries that the Verkad have lived in space next to warp cores has caused them to, part of their biome is actually a subspace life form.
Whoa.
Lives within their bodies, which is why none of your instruments picked it up. You never even thought that this was something that could happen.
Sure.
So this is all brand new knowledge that nobody, even your Vulcan allies, the Andorians, no one ever knew that this was something that was possible. So having isolated what the problem was, you were able to detect it and then synthesize a cure, which you delivered throughout the ship, which almost immediately killed the microorganism that was causing the problem. Well, not kill it actually, but phase it out of their bodies back into subspace using the help of Jiffus. You're able to basically encapsulate the ship in a stable warp field that removed the pathogen entirely. So all of a sudden, all the inhibitions and the normal behavior sort of come back in the middle of whatever people were doing, which caused a lot of tension in the ship for a while. There was a lot of emotional fallout. However, the planners behind your 3-year mission learned a lot from the Constitution class missions, in that the Curie includes counselors and psychology professionals, which greatly helped you overcome. There's still a lot of tension and things to be worked out, but they at least the crew has at least tools to deal with it and compartmentalize, so it's not completely overtaking their lives.
Did not kill people.
Rilla did not kill people.
Or dealing with the guilt of what they've done and that kind of stuff, right?
I'm feeling no guilt.
Yeah.
They were weak.
But there were some who might, for example, might have a family and spouse on Earth who have engaged in rampant debauchery, and they may have trouble dealing with that.
Rampant horniness.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Lieutenant Shavor.
It's fine.
So after that incident, Lieutenant Shavor continues to hold regular hand-to-hand combat drills with the senior staff.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yep.
They're called sort of informally dance nights.
Sure.
Fantastic.
Right? Everyone shows up to the dance hall, which is the gymnasium, and she tries to beat the tar out of you. In a surprising development, Yeoman Narkek, who he comes from the Tellarians are very argumentative, and they actually argue as a spectator sport. Stadiums are filled with people following. And there was a little bit of tension in the beginning when Narkek was first introduced to the captain, and Nerjad didn't have a context for how to process the yelling he was hearing. But the crew has really gotten behind Yeoman Narkek. And the arguments that he's been having with the captain have become legendary on board.
Ooh.
And in a spontaneous show of support, some of the non-Tellarite crewmen have started up a competitive debate league modeled after the Tellarite spectator activity.
No.
That's
adorable.
That's okay. That's fine. That's allowed.
Debate perverts on our
which is a very cool activity that's going on. But it's really helped Narkek feel welcomed by the crew. But as a side note, the less formal insult nights are a crew favorite. That are now broadcast like ship-wide when they're going on. And it's just two people standing up on a stage yelling insults at one another and
great.
getting points for creativeness and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So long as it's consensual.
Dr. Hudson standing at the back, like feeling that he has to attend.
Yes.
And just making notes on like, nope, that's not medically possible. That's not anatomically correct, sir. Terrible insult.
I just
Yeah.
no. Dr. Hudson has a little board, right, that just pulls up and nope, penalty.
Reading
That's
them.
a foul.
No.
Nope.
No, I'm
No,
not
okay.
participating in the show of it at all. It's just like it.
Spectating because he believes his eyeballs need to see this as a sort of non-optional social activity.
Yes. Yes. This is the sort of thing that someone that wanted to be a good officer and have interactions with the crew at large would do. So therefore, he does it.
So all that sort of brings us to our present moment.
Hang on. How's the poker game going?
Poker games are still happening on a regular basis, I presume. Jiffus is surprisingly seeming to get the hang of it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Um,
Vulcans would be really good at poker.
He still flatly refuses to bluff,
Yep. Yep.
but he's getting much better at reading the table.
Yeah. He's got
So
great reads, and
not-
he's impossible to read. But if he doesn't have anything, he folds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you have to know he's never going to be bluffing you. If he's betting confidently, then he's got a hand. That's been definitely a bonding activity for the senior staff. And this brings us to our current day. So the scene opens up on a star field. You can imagine the camera sort of panning across, and then we see the USS Curry, except it's at an odd angle. And as you watch, the Curry is kind of rotating in 3 degrees of rotation, pitch, yaw, and spin. And you can see the light that's lighting up the name on the disc sort of flickers momentarily and comes off and goes on. We zoom in and we're passing through corridors that are empty. You can see the yellow alert sign coming on and off in the corridors where it's lit. You see the odd data pad or a tray with food just dropped as if in haste. Camera pans through engineering, and much of the room is dark, except for several warning indicators indicating systems are losing power. We fade cut to the bridge, pan over an empty helm with the yellow alert sign blinking on the center. The camera moves past the communication station where we see Captain Kovac Shivari's face visible on the monitor. She's desperately asking for the Curry to respond. She says, "Damn it, Irilor! Where the hell are you?" The camera passes over the captain's chair where we see a datapad and pen apparently dropped. And we fade back and roll the intro.
Space. The final frontier. These are the brave adventures of the Starship Curie, whose 3-year mission is to explore new worlds, to seek out new civilizations, and to boldly go where no one has gone before.
I love that thing so much. I've never been so proud of the little 20-second video.
After the credits roll, we fade in and we see Commander Kitneel prone on the ground, shaking his head. He spits blood onto sand. He's got a contusion on his forehead and his jaw has got a cut in it and it's bleeding. As you slowly come to awareness, you see a crowd cheering and stands around you. You're holding a metal staff that appears to be electrified on either end. You know you're injured and your ears are ringing and you're feeling this intense emotional broadcast coming from your symbiont. But you don't have time to deal with that right now because you look up and you see Captain Chuchulor standing in a combat pose several meters away from you, similarly armed. He's looking at you aggressively, and it becomes immediately clear that he's the one that just knocked you on your ass. But there's no recognition in his eyes, and he is looking at you with the look of a warrior who sees victory. You have no memory of how you got here, but you know that you're the first officer of the USS Curie. But until you just came to in the sand, you have no memory of how you got here. You don't know where your ship is. And the only crewman you can see is the captain, who is intent on beating your ass. You have no idea why you're fighting, but the crowd seems very energized.
I know him from work.
And we'll pick up there. So in the arena, Captain Chuchalor, your task is to seek victory. And Commander Kitniel, how do you respond?
I'm taking a dive.
You're going to yield?
No, not yield. I'm taking a dive. I'm going, like, clearly he needs to defeat me. Fine, I'm gonna take a hit and sell the fuck out of it.
Okay, fair enough. I like that. That's cute.
I think one thing you've seen before is that when Captain Chuchalor fights, he always offers his opponent an opportunity to yield, surrender, more than one, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, he's not interested in bludgeoning someone to death. He's much more interested in winning usually, right? But it's about the contest. It actually isn't about drawing blood. As you saw, like, even when he was fighting Klingon, right? He's I mean, he wouldn't do this to a robot, obviously, right? We saw it before. But anyway.
And I will tell you that your motivation here is just to get victory.
Okay.
It's not. This isn't a fight to the death or anything like that.
Excellent.
So as long as you can win.
Fantastic. So after knocking him to the ground, right? Chuchalor, I think, if we're basing this on his basic personality without recognition of his relationship with the commander, if he knocks him to the ground and he spits blood and his staff is by his side, but he's not clearly in a fighting posture, he would hold the staff down to his neck and say, you know, and if we're speaking in the languages we still know, right? He'd say,
Sure.
Yield, you know, in a commanding tone.
Nurjad, let's get a presence and security roll to see how well you can sell this.
Proud sake.
And I think the difficulty is just one. It's not a difficult sell. You've been brained pretty good. Oh, and mark off 2 stress while you're at it.
Okay. And I can't remember for stress. Is it start at 1? Or
No, it's supposed to 0.
Or it's empty.
Starts at 0.
okay, because I couldn't clear it before.
You have to click the stress word as
okay.
opposed to the box.
Got it. All right, now it's at 2 though. All right, presence, security. None of my focuses handle this, and
Diplomacy.
oh, okay, yeah.
I think that
And
could work.
then it's because this will be a task roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's right.
okay, that works.
Yep. So you can
2
bank that
successes.
1 momentum. I'll put a momentum on the board for you guys.
Appreciate it. You can probably use those determination tokens.
Nope.
Oh, never mind.
I
Kids,
have
though.
tokens. I just have them hidden.
Gotcha.
So you got 1 memento on the board. You can use that later. And
Heck yes.
so Chuchalor comes forward and holds his staff out, and you completely, that's it, I'm done. And the crowd goes wild. And you hear a voice saying that Chuchalor is the victor. And
Got the right
a
names.
bunch of people sort of come into the stand or from the sidelines and rush forward. And you guys, Nurjad, you're sort of helped up to your feet, and the 2 of you are brought forward towards a dais. The first thing you see on the dais is probably an 8-foot tall, muscular woman. Looks human, but the proportions are, she's just huge. And she's standing there like a queen, surveying. And as the 2 of you are brought forward, she looks at Chuchalor, the victor, and the crowd screams again. Nurjad, you're a little more aware of what's going on, so you see that beside her is Commander Zakolman, who does not appear to recognize you at all, and appears to be something of a servant. And you see a few other members of the crew also sort of attending this queen. She is wearing like a white, almost skirt with a battle harness over top of it, and a shiny, looks almost like polished brass breastplate.
Mm.
And she's got metal armbands and bracers, and she stands with her hands on her hips, legs slightly apart, and she says, "Go, get yourselves patched up. We'll have the next round in a few minutes."
So, question: what have we been wearing?
You are wearing sort of a battle kilt about knee length,
Awesome.
and just a leather harness in the same sort of style that she's wearing, but yours is leather instead of metal.
Gotcha. Because that was Nurjad's like take of, okay, how long have we been here? Because if we were still in uniforms and they were neat-ish, then it'd be like, oh, this is recent. But if we've changed into other clothes, that's a clue out the window.
Mm-hmm. Other folks come and you recognize different species. Some of them don't seem familiar. You recognize some crewmen that are part of the folks that come forward. Take the weapons away, and a couple of them escort you off to the side. You pass through a large double door that slowly closes with a big boom behind you, and you're walking down almost like a gladiatorial tunnel under the arena in Rome. And you get into a side room. The door opens up, and now it doesn't look like... It definitely looks higher tech in here. And you're left with the impression that the stuff outside is for show. And now you're into the real situation here. You can see there's some computer consoles. There's a fairly modern-looking medical bed. And you see three figures inside this chamber. One is a female, the other is male. They have the same sort of uniform on. And that's kind of what you guys see.
Are they a species we recognize, or are we...
They look human.
An assumption? Okay. Gotcha.
And they have the same sort of proportions, human sort of proportions. And they have, and just as a point of fact, they have the exact same uniform on. Okay. For those watching, if you've seen the Andrea character from the old series, it's that sort of outfit. And the male comes forward to Chuchulor, and I hear congratulations in order, and takes you off to the side. The female one comes towards Najad. Just kind of a look, gives you an appraising eye. Let's see, you got a little worse for wear. Come this way and walk over towards the bed. In the background, you see Dr. Hudson sort of working away at a computer console. From his manner, he doesn't... He just his whole body language appears to be subservient.
Ooh.
Like he's here as a worker or as a tasker, but these two are the ones that are in charge of the space.
Wow.
So the female takes you over to a medical bed, pulls out a little tool, and you see this little light beam come out of it as she starts to pass it back and forth over the contusion over your eyebrow. And she says, anything I need to worry about?
Now, up until now, we haven't heard a word from, like, the captain or... Okay, so...
There was no recognition in the captain's eyes when he was looking at you.
It's not even that. It's whether or not they've said anything. Have they been nonverbal so far?
I just didn't want to interrupt.
And the captain might have said, good
yield.
Good fight or something like that.
Okay, okay.
It's not like they're not speaking or anything like that.
Gotcha. So no, Nurjad, they shake their head. You got lucky.
Okay. I'm just going to do a scan just to make sure. And she reaches over to a counter and pulls up another dice that looks vaguely similar to a tricorder, but much more compact and sort of triangular in shape. And she holds it like this as she passes over you, and she can read stuff on the screen as it's facing her. And she does like a quick scan. Okay, everything looks all right.
Okay, never mind.
Nope. Go ahead.
Nope. We're good.
Okay. Yeah. Just a little bit more damage on the jaw that we'll take care of right away. And she says, "Stay here for a minute," and she leaves you for a couple seconds. Anything you wish to do in that time?
Is there anything I can palm?
Absolutely.
I'm definitely thinking of, not necessarily Nurjad wants a tool. A weapon would be, B tier, but right now something that would allow them to interact with the world if he's put into a cell or something like that.
So there was the sort of the light beam tool that was within easy reach, but there's also a couple of those sort of scanner devices. You're not necessarily sure how to operate it, but you could probably figure it out. You have several lifetimes of experience to draw upon.
I really need to, yeah. No, I think gonna grab the scanner because if nothing else, that'll be something that may help me figure out what's going on with everybody else.
All right. You feel free to pitch me something else, but I think this would be under like a daring security.
That's what I was going to pitch.
Sure.
Definitely no focus here. Yeah.
What's the difficulty?
Yeah, just one.
Okay.
They're not particularly concerned about your. They're not treating you like you're a threat or a prisoner. Yep, no problem. So you managed to pocket something, tuck it into the waistband of your girdle over your kilt.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a little, was it a scanner or did you want to try and get the other tool?
No, the scanner.
Okay, so you have a scanner that you can have a look at later. So the female goes over and talks to Dr. Kitneal for a moment, or pardon me, Dr. Hudson for a moment, and he gives her another device, and she comes back and she does a little over your jaw. I suppose this means you'll be out of the running then.
I don't see what it would.
That's the spirit. Keep up. There's other trials. I'm glad you're being so optimistic. If there's nothing else, I think that's all I have for you. You feeling okay, though?
Drew skims over his sheet and double checks what talents I have. Right as rain.
Okay. She waves towards a door, and a couple of other servants that are dressed kind of like you without the leather harness and no shirt. They come forward and they give you a bit of a bow. So they'll take you back to your quarters.
Cool, because they're the ones I'll probably try and quiz and ask questions of, like if they're acting servile to me, or at least giving Kitneal respect.
Deferential.
That's the word.
So one of them is someone you don't recognize. The other one is a lower decker from the science department, so they're like a low-level technician. That's somebody that was on the crew that you know,
Mm-hmm.
but they have no recognition when they look at you. And they escort you down through some fairly modern-looking corridors with what you would expect to be modern lighting and automatic doors and that kind of thing.
Nice
And you
swishing
enter
sounds.
a long corridor. So if you had questions for them, go ahead.
Yeah, so referring to them by name, because if there's one thing Kitneal has got, it's every single name and face in their head. And just asking how they're doing.
Sure. So you are speaking to... where am I? This is a Vulcan technician that you know as Vok. And when you say Vok, they respond like they know their name. Oh, I'm surprised you know me. I washed out pretty early in the trials.
Tell me how you got there. And Kitneal is putting on this big show of like, I'm the big boss and I'm still in the running and I'm but tell me how much of a screw up you are.
I'm not. I did well on the mental trials, but on the physical side, it wasn't really my thing, and I washed out there.
But
it was a while ago. I'm content with my lot now.
Well, how long ago was that?
Oh, it would have been 2 weeks, I think.
What did you do before then?
I was training for the trials.
Right, naturally. Right, like all of us are.
But you see some confusion on their face. Yeah. I mean, that must have been it.
Sure.
And you get to a door, they activate it, the door opens up, and you're like in a long sort of barracks kind of room with partitions to separate off certain areas. And they will walk you over towards, there's a bed and a dresser, just a night table sort of thing, and a bit of a footlocker. And they say if you have any other needs, let us know, but the meals should be ready in about an hour.
Thank you, Falk.
Thank you. We're honored to serve. And then they bow and leave, and you are left alone. There's other folks in here. There's other folks in here that are just sort of minding their own business, but you have a fair bit of privacy here if you wanted to, as long as you're not making a lot of loud noises.
And do they look like other fighters?
Yes.
Okay.
This is definitely gladiator sort of folks here.
Gotcha. Okay, so time to scan my damn self.
Sure.
And
you're still getting those strong emotional sort of waves coming from your symbiont.
Yep.
That would take like a moment to concentrate and figure out what's going on.
Yep. It's going to be my really great medicine or science skill, I'm sure.
It'll be science. So this is unfamiliar technology from an unfamiliar culture. So I think I'm going to call that daring in science. Although there's a case for insight in science as well.
No, daring's fine. Daring's just fine. Shut up, Chris.
Sure. So daring and saying, which key is the any key? Bum, 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 bum.
Correct.
Sure.
Inside the computer?
I will say, if we're going daring science, the difficulty will be 2.
Sure. That's fine.
Just confidently pressing a button.
Yes. Just see what happens, right?
I got 1.
It was 2.
Yes.
Wait, hang on. Did I do that wrong?
No.
How many dice did I roll?
You rolled 11, it says.
No, because I should roll 2d10. I'm rolling under 11?
2d20.
Right, that's what I meant. Oh, I hate trying to read this thing.
Yeah, it's difficult to get untangle the die codes.
Rolled a 15 and an 11. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so earlier when I rolled the other dice, I only rolled 1 die.
I will let you succeed at a cost. The cost will be giving me a threat.
Sure.
Sure.
I definitely need to know what's going on.
You managed to get some sort of information out of this thing. You're not entirely sure how to interpret it, but you make a good try at it. Here's my threat. What is it that you're looking for?
Specifically, anything that might point at a cause for the lack of memory. Is there a drug or something like that?
No, but you do detect some changes in your mental patterns, like in your brainwaves and things like that. It's with what you've got, you're not able to discern a source, but there was definitely something that was interfering with your normal cognitive processes.
Cool.
That appears to be fading.
Notice that.
But even though you're now like more aware of who you are and where you are, you still have a chunk of missing time that just seems to be gone.
Right. Yeah, especially because I know that I'm the first officer of a ship, but do I even know the ship? Like,
yep.
Okay.
You know the USS Curie. You remember everything up to about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then it's all a blank until you woke up in the sand.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, in that case, after that and confirming that I am in a decent state of health and I do not need to immediately panic, it's time to sit on the bed, close my eyes, and just zen and try to connect with my symbiont and be like, Dude, were you paying attention? Because I wasn't.
All right.
yeah.
So your symbiote was paying attention.
Yes.
And with the information that it has from its previous lifetimes, you can recognize these memories. It was fully aware and seeing through your senses as whatever happened. You were approaching a beacon of some sort. But you guys were having trouble penetrating it with sensors, so you called for a yellow alert. And a few moments later, there was a bright flash, like an energy field engulfed the ship. And you woke up, or not, just you came to awareness. You never lost consciousness. Your symbiont saw this. The whole crew has sort of appeared in a large sort of auditorium. And they were all prone. Several figures came and held something over your heads for a few seconds and just sort of methodically moved through the crew. After that happened, they started to sort of wake up, and these servants talked to them as if they had been here for a time, and talk to them, and you can see this happening to you like somebody watching a movie through their own eyes, about how you've been selected to help with the ascension. It's important to win. There'll be several trials that you'll need to partake in, and this is like being logged in your memory as this is like a directive. So it seems that you were in a suggestible state at the time, and your symbiote can recognize that from some of your past lives. So whatever the device was, it put you in a suggestible state, gave you some parameters under which you were now living. And once that was baked in, you just fell into the narrative. You'd been here for a long time. You've been training your whole life for these trials. The whole point of these trials is to be the victor, because the victors are chosen for ascension.
Gotcha.
And from there on, there's several competitions that you've went through, some mental trials, physical trials, cleverness trials, that kind of thing, sort of hitting on all the different disciplines. And you've done fairly well. Being a first officer and commander in Starfleet, you have a large, deck of skills to draw upon, so you're doing quite well.
Till the
But
captain
the end
beat
of all this is they're looking for like the top 10 of this pool of candidates will be selected for ascension.
Gotcha.
And your symbiote, because their brainwaves are entirely different, and most humanoids don't have two brains in their bodies, was completely
One in your
unaffected by
stomach?
all this. Yeah. So it was trying desperately to reach through or break through. But it seems that the electrical discharge from the electrostaff when Captain Chuchalor hit you disrupted whatever mental programming was in place. And that's when you returned to being you again, and your symbiote could help you remember what was going on.
Cool. I need a taser, and we're going to clean this all up.
Well, there are electrostaves that apparently are sitting in a rack not too far away from you. And maybe possible to repurpose one of those into like a hand stunner or something.
Noted.
Ooh.
Yeah, so now that Nurjad, at this point, and correct me if I'm wrong, is back to himself. Themselves, I gotta be better. Quick head count of who's here that I recognize from senior staff in this barracks.
From senior staff, you don't recognize anybody.
Crap. Okay.
Oh, that's not true. Hang on. That's not true. Let me check my notes. I have some. There are some that are here. I just need to check it.
If nothing else, there's Dr. Hudson back in medical.
There's Dr. Hudson back in medical. You saw Zakolnin was apparently some sort of a servant to one of the queen figure that you were talking or saw earlier. Yes. So you see Wing Commander Levine is here, and so is Lieutenant Shavar.
Oh, good. A scientist. Thank fuck.
No, Shavar, your
she's our
second in
security.
command.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it. Yeah. You Z people.
Andorians, man.
She was the one that was standing at the side.
Right. Yeah.
The
We even just covered that, and it just. I heard a Z name, and I panicked.
So Zakolin is Ash's character.
Right.
Was the chief science officer.
Right.
She was at the side of the queen.
Right.
But you
Oh,
see
that's
Shavar
right.
here as
Ash's
somebody you
character.
hadn't seen yet. But she was sort of in charge of ship security and stuff
Right.
like that back on the security.
So the two of the people who report directly to me are here. Great.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are some other people. They're not senior staff, but they're.
Mm.
This is the gladiator barracks, so they are more martially inclined. It appears to be anyway.
Well, gonna punt and basically flag down a servant and
Sure.
summon. Yeah, I think just by name, Victor Hudson.
Hmm.
Oh, is there a problem? Do you need some assistance?
That doctor did things wrong. Want to tell him to his face.
Oh, I see. Very well. We'll bring him right away. And the servant bows and looks.
Cool. And Durjad is going to head over and get one of those electrostaffs. Sorry, Chris. and be in like full angry stalking mode of like, I'm going to beat
Sure.
the shit out of this doctor.
Sure, no problem. You grab one of the staves. You're just gonna keep it intact.
For
You're
the
just
time
planning on
being.
braining him when he walks in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, probably
um,
not full brain, is more of a jabbing motion. But yeah.
So after a few minutes, Dr. Hudson comes in, looking a little worried. You're just a junior technician. You basically just clean the tools and give them the things that they're looking for. Dr. Hudson is sort of the paradigm under which you are operating right now. And this gladiator has just summoned you and is apparently angry with you.
Yeah, I think Nurjad is. It's not even a conversation. It's grab, throw him over to like that partition place, like throw him to the ground, and then just electroshock as gently as I can.
All right. Are you resisting, Dr. Hudson?
I mean, out of like reflex, but
Right, I
I don't
was gonna say.
think it's gonna be much of a challenge here.
Okay. Fair enough. We can let that happen if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. So, can I get you to give me a damage roll as if this was a phaser?
All right. That one. Oh, that's
Yikes.
a lot of numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. That is enough to beat the threshold. Dr. Hudson, you sort of come to with Commander Nurjad looking like a Roman gladiator, standing over you, having just pulled back an electro staff. Like you can still feel the tremors in your stomach from the shocks that were causing racking pain in your body. But you have no idea how you got here. You know that you're the medical officer on the USS Curie. You have no idea where you are. You can't remember the last several days. But you're
He
now...
just like checks his pulse,
Mhm.
looks down, like
I-
hasn't moved off his back, right? Just like flat
Right.
on his back. It's like pulse.
As soon as Nurjad notices him checking himself, he goes into pantomime of stomping him, making no
Sure.
contact whatsoever, just that way, if anybody were to look in the general vicinity, there is a beatdown going on, and you don't want to be involved.
All right.
Sir, can I ask for an explanation of what's going on?
I'm definitely trying to play Nurjad smarter than I am here, but yeah, I think he basically spouts off with some like double speak of "You don't know what you did, you don't remember."
At this point, you hear a couple of angry voices coming from the opening to your partition, and you turn around and see a very angry-looking Shavar and Lieutenant Commander Levine. They are both in sort of angry stances, and Levine says, "What the fuck are you doing?" So you're quiet, Drew. Can't hear a word you're saying.
I'm stammering and yelling at myself. Okay. Screw it. Durjat is pissed at that he lost to the captain, and now he's just lashing out. So screw it.
Electrocute them too.
Yep.
All right. This would be a competing role. You are armed. They are not. This is so much better than I envisioned.
Oh, I hope the four of you electrocute the captain. I hope you rush in.
Oh, he's going to be here right away, so that's no problem there. One Commander Levine. Okay, so pick your target. Which one are you going for? Between the two of them, Shavar is definitely the bigger threat.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, she's dangerous. When she doesn't consider you a
By
friend.
the way, did I take 6 stress? Is that how that works?
Call it 3 stress. It's temporary.
Okay.
I was being careful.
These aren't lethal weapons.
Yes, but we're gonna.
Well, because the big thing is I'm not trying to stab with the staff, it's apply the electrical current.
It's just a light tasering.
Right. Do not knock the doctor unconscious. I need it.
Please tase me, bro.
So this would be a yeah, she doesn't have a focus for this. This will be a daring security roll. You have a weapon, she doesn't. Normal complication range, just a task roll.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a tie.
Mhm.
Oh,
I
baby.
don't
roll
know
off.
what we do for ties.
I think the narrative continues forward in these situations.
All right, so you go forward and attempt to grab or to bash her with the staff. She manages to sort of duck under and get a hand on it, so the two of you are sort of wrestling over the staff. While that's going on, Commander Levine will not be sitting idle.
Sure.
Of course not.
Daring and security task roll.
This is so good.
Oh, this is rolling twice. Shit.
So this is just for her to skip past you.
Oh, okay.
And she puts herself in a position to be between you and Dr. Hudson.
Oh, fabulous.
Okay. Dr. Hudson, you can participate if you wish. So you don't know what's going on. All you know that Commander Kitneal electrocuted you. And then 2 of the other senior staff bust in and they're apparently now fighting Commander Kitneal.
If I can introduce a just moment of dialogue wherein I pass a clue to the doctor, making some comment about, stimulating electrical something or other. Listen, I'm in a hand-to-hand fight with 2 people who are really good at this shit. And I'm doing my best here.
I'm like back in faculties of myself, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't know how you got here or why you've been electrocuted on the ground.
Hopefully that part is the obvious joke.
All right. Well, I mean, he gets the sense that it should help Nerjad.
Sure.
I did pantomime kicking as opposed to actually kicking.
I mean, there's weird enough things that he needs to get Nerjad to tell him what's going on. So I'll jump in and throw my body at the problem.
Sure. So Commander Levine is in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Guarding.
If you wanted to occupy her, or if you wanted to help out with the other melee.
Yeah, just literally just trying to like get in the way and buy Nurjad time. I think like totally
Sure.
gonna just get rocked in the face.
Okay.
Um,
So go ahead and take a daring and security roll against Wing Commander Levine, who is not anticipating an attack from you at all. So difficulty will just be 1.
So the one thing is that we have to click the 2 next to task roll because that's the 2
Right.
dice.
Mm-hmm.
I think my composure focus works here.
Sure, I'll go for that.
Just pulling yourself together immediately, like making a judgment call, and like, yep, okay. And then what values is value if it applies lets you tap a determination.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm gonna nothing better than practical experience here.
Ooh.
Sure, I'll go for that.
And that gives me a success.
One
right?
success automatically.
Right.
Our little wet noodle of a doctor. Learning how to fight.
So that's 3 success. Well, actually, not. Determination is
Yeah.
as if you had rolled a 1.
Right, so as a
To
crit.
correct myself.
Okay.
So that's actually 4 successes.
Yeah.
So determination gives you an extra d20 that is a 1.
Yes, that's correct. It's as if you had rolled a 1. So that's 4 successes. You can buy additional, or you can bind her up, like basically grapple her to take her out of the picture.
Yeah, I think that's like
Or, so you put her in like an arm lock or something.
yeah, it's pure reflex and just ends up like tumbling
Grabbing.
down and getting it like full on like just monkey grab like
He puts her in the
Sure.
full Hudson.
the full Hudson.
Hudson.
Love that.
I'm almost imagining like from Emperor's New Groove, Yzma when she's going all battle mode, "Rah!" and just skinny doctor leaping on this, formidable woman.
One of
and
the
successfully
1,001
getting her into
holes. This is one
Yep.
of the 1,001 holes that Chris
Successfully.
Jericho never showed off on. In the ring.
Right. Yeah.
and successfully throws her into an arm lock. And her response is like, "What are you doing? I'm trying to help you." But she is successfully taken out of the combat. So let's go back to attacks again.
Sure.
Shavar is going to give another unarmed strike against you, and you're countering with your electro staff.
Sure. Now, question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not trying to go all out because Nurjad does not want to hurt these people.
Sure. Okay.
Could I go with
You're just trying to
control?
tag her with the electrical end to
Mhm.
get the spark. Okay. I will reduce her difficulty by 1 then, because
Oh.
you're not trying to actually defeat her.
Okay.
You just want to tag her with the shocking aim.
Mhm.
All right. So whatever comes off the roll will be 1 less. So she misses entirely.
Oh, okay, cool.
Ooh.
I'm going
And
to
your
do I need to
attack?
roll? Okay, yeah,
Yeah, melee is always competing, and whoever wins does damage.
Mhm.
gotcha.
No problem. Go ahead and roll your challenge dice. And you can buy an extra challenge dice if you wish, because you have 1 extra success, or bank that as momentum.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and add that. So that'll be
Here.
4 instead of the. Because what was. Well, hang on.
This is it's a fun situation because I'm relearning the game just like my characters are relearning what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
So
Lever
I'm going to change because it's rolling as a phaser plus 1 because I'm going to spend that extra success on it. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It beats the threshold. So you clock her very lightly. You like just
Place
not
it
even-
against her temple and
yeah. Basically, you didn't have enough of an opening to actually make a full-on attack, but you do manage to tag her in the forehead with the electro staff very lightly. But it's enough to like.
play directly.
and
to
then
the
she sort of staggers back for a moment in a ready position, and she's sort of shaking her head. And then she looks around, like confused, and sort of backs off a little bit. Levine is still held up in an arm lock. Easy enough for you to just reach out and tap her for that.
Okay.
And to do the same sort of thing, the electroshock right to the head. And she goes through the same sort of reaction, like is very confused and hands her head. And what the hell? Where are we?
Yeah,
And
and
looks up and sees you and Dr. Hudson behind her.
I think Nurjad, just to keep things, keep the kayfabe going, just like starts yelling further, shoving them like back within the partition. And again, it's not full force shoves or anything like that. It's just trying to get that movement, and then looking over
Sure.
to Dr. Hudson, pulling out the scanner and being like, "Please tell me you have better luck with this than I do."
Right. So you're their commander. They have no context for what's going on, but you're their commander, and you're obviously trying to shoo them back into the cubicle. They have no problem. They get back there, and then once they're in the back, I assume the commotion settles down. Or are you keeping up the noise? But
No, at that
Okay.
point, if anybody looks around, hopefully they just think I've just beaten them into, unconsciousness.
sure, no problem. So there's a
I'm a casual murder. It's fine.
There's like a
It's
clear
no big
plastic
deal.
triangle with the corners are colored white that Kitneal hands you. And you're looking at it, seems to be some sort of a scanner, sort of a tricorder-like device.
Mhm.
If you want to give me a reason science or
Absolutely.
something similar.
Got one.
It does appear to be a scanner of some sort, and with the one with Kitneal giving you a hand and explaining what he knows about it already, you're able to make a fairly good use of it. It won't count as a tool for those purposes because you're not familiar enough with it, but you're able to get, like, if I'm reading these, if these readings are right, you can detect that there's some abnormal brainwave patterns that are just sort of fading from all four of you. So there's just a sort of a bit of a residual effect that appears to be fading, but their normal rhythms are coming back online. So the four of you have a few moments alone.
And so, yeah, in those few moments, well, especially as Dr. Hudson is trying to figure this out, they are going to give a very, very succinct, we were on the ship, we saw a beacon, we were teleported down, and in a suggestive state, reprogrammed into some kind of series of trials for ascension. And now you're caught up with what I know. And
All right,
electroprods seem to,
Where
to the
was I
head.
before?
back in a medical, as a lackey.
I mean, that makes.
I know.
I was about to say that makes sense. I understand if you are gallivanting, like just all three of them gallivanting around doing blood sports, but a lackey? Something's gone terribly wrong here.
Yeah, they were willing to sacrifice you, Doc. They just sent you to me, all unarmed. Yeah, these people are monsters. And like Kitneal, as like finally having to like blow off some steam and get some humor out, and be like, "Oh, thank fuck, I had people to talk to."
Very well. Well, challengers, if you are all fine. Like Dr. Hudson trying to act is fucking wild to me. I will be reporting back to my lackey station.
As you guys sort of step out from the private cubicle that is your quarters, there's a bit of a commotion at the main door to the barracks. And in walks Captain Chuchalord, but also Commander Zakolman, and the same large lady that was on the dais. They sort of walk in, and the whole room sort of goes quiet, and everyone sort of turns and faces and lowers their heads as this large woman enters the chamber.
I follow
And
suit.
she says, Irlor was successful in the trials today. You should have your respect. Make sure you welcome him as a victor. And then the queen turns and leaves, leaving Zakolin and Chuchulor as the rest of the gladiators sort of come forward. Zakolin seems to be there as like she's escorting as a sign of respect or a favor, perhaps. But she definitely has an air about her, like, she is in charge of everyone in this room.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
She has sort of just an imperious air, like she is a servant of the queen, and this is her space. And all of you are the air she has is that all of you are subject to her, and she has nothing to fear from any of you. So all the gladiators come forward, and there's some stiff greetings, some warm greetings, like some genuine congratulations. Some are more rivalry, like, good job, whatever. And that sort of thing. So do you go forward as well?
Fuck.
Who are you asking?
I was asking Drew.
I'm really wondering how quickly I can break this staff and actually
the head seems to be on its own, like it could exist, like a power cell seems to be in the head itself.
Okay, so
Just pop it off and
I think it's that in the little partition area, looking and just being like getting close to the captain as he like breaks the thing. And
Sure. This is an unplanned sort of activity, so I think I'm going to call this a daring engineering.
okay, hey, as long as we're in daring stuff, we're good. It's when you start asking for
You know what ship
other
this
ones.
is.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
We're all daring.
Daring engineering, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
One success is all you need. You break off the head into a sort of a palm-sized, apple-sized device that you now have cleverly hidden in your hand as you walk forward. So
My commander is going to electro-shiv me.
yes,
In the forehead.
Thank you, in the forehead. So and for Irilor, this is your due. You've earned this respect. So you're allowing these other folks to sort of pay homage to you and your victory because you're just that much closer towards ascension. And you see your recent rival that you just defeated in the ring come forward to you.
And like Nurjad is gonna like wait for things to like everybody else in the last one, and that big crowd tension of what's he gonna do, and eventually give that like whatever. I have to admit that he was the victor today, and kind of walk forward with the right, what is it, predator, and do the arm grab thing.
Yeah.
And then the other hand comes up and just to
competitive, competitive gripping of hand.
Yeah, so you guys sort of
Their
lock
arm
arms between you, and there's sort of a moment of contest of strength.
and then just the left
from out
hand
of the
comes
blue-
up and just clocks.
In front of everybody?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
as soon as you hit him, I'm going to hit you. Because you are
so let's
assaulting
do,
Yeah.
the Queen's
assault-
champion. Yeah.
because you're trying to be subtle and distract from what you're planning on doing, let's do a presence and security roll, unless you want to pitch me something else.
Nope, totally fine.
Sure.
Do you want me to roll anything to notice that he's doing that?
Sure. You can give me an insight and security.
All right.
And
Let's see. This is let's see. Do I need focus to supply?
I'm
An
gonna ask.
unexpected challenge.
I wouldn't call this an unexpected challenge,
Okay.
because you would kind of expect a possible.
All
You'd
right.
be a little on your
hand-to-hand
toes.
combat.
Hand-to-hand combat would make sense,
Okay.
yeah.
Great.
I was gonna ask,
Ooh.
does my team dynamics apply? I know how the captain thinks. Craig?
And task roll, I put 2 because we're rolling 2 dice.
Mhm.
And Nurjad, you gave me a roll.
I was asking, can I apply my team dynamics focus? Because I know how the captain thinks.
Sure, I'll go for that.
Cool.
Ooh.
Appreciate you
So-
taking a dive, Ralph.
No problem here.
Kit Neal definitely looks like the defeated. It seems to be genuinely happy for you,
Mm-hmm.
and no hard feelings. The show of strength with the hand clasp and stuff was,
Fantastic.
strictly for show as a show of respect. And then
Excellent.
from out of the blue, he
Yeah.
just clocks you upside the head with a slap. Go ahead and give me a challenge dice roll, as if this was a phaser.
Yeah.
Right, because and that's actually one thing I wanted to double
I-
check to make sure I'm
I
rolling.
also want to add a little accent real quick. You,
Sure.
you would all see, of course, that that Irilor, right? Because he's not in the role of the captain, is pretty magnanimous with people, even the people who are treating him with hostility or judgment, right? Like you'd see outside the context of him exhibiting his role and rank as captain, he's still treating people with this kind of honor. It's important to him.
I like that. That makes sense. Craig, I was making sure because the phaser damage is just 3, but I get to add my security, and I'm doing that right. Okay, just making sure.
That meets the threshold.
I was gonna say.
So lightning plays over Irilor's head for a moment, and he sort of staggers back and seems to be dizzy.
And yes, I am
Zagolin, what are you
blocking,
doing while that's going on?
Kit Neal.
Not unexpected that there would be some physical altercations between rival gladiators, so you're not entirely surprised that this might happen.
I also have a talent that is constantly watching.
Yes, but yeah, you see it a moment before it kicks in, like, oh, this is going to go bad. So how do you respond?
So basically, I'm trying to just get him away from Irilor.
Sure,
Just like sitting on him, hit him.
sure. Daring security?
Yep.
And you're responding, I presume?
No, he's gonna take a dive again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and just like because I think it's actually hell. We'll bring in the Klingon here and slap him and you patak, and then all of a sudden Zakolnin is just gonna tumble
That's
him.
great.
Sure.
Okay, it's task roll 2.
Mhm,
Yep.
because that's the 2 that determines the d20. So you're rolling.
Do you have any focuses that apply?
No, I have infiltration, but I am not infiltrating. I believe what I'm
No,
doing.
You are
Yeah.
in charge here, yeah. That's enough because Nerjad is not defending. So go ahead and roll your challenge dice as if you had a phaser because you have a stun wand.
Okay, that's the phaser type 1.
Yep.
That's 2 dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you just click the little you get it.
That's a lot.
4, 6,
Um,
7, 8.
And I wasn't
Yeah, you weren't
Pulling
pulling any
that
punches.
punch?
Yeah,
So mark off 8 stress,
sure.
Nerjad. What's that leave you at?
Oh, I got 4 more. No, wait, hang on, 5 more.
What?
All right. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
she
you're the weak baby.
Yeah,
she lands a
I didn't know
solid
it was by
hit.
that much.
And you find yourself doubling over and you're down on your knees, gasping for breath, as a sort of imperious Johnny Zakolin is standing over you.
but it's fitness
anything
plus
else you want to
security.
do, or
so-
have you taught your lesson to this errant gladiator?
No, this is right. He is
Okay.
cowed and kneeling,
You just
Oh, yeah.
fucking anime smash him across the room.
basically. And now
Yeah,
he's in
just-
his place, so
Yeah, she pulled out one of those mini wands, flicked it open, and then came up with a backhand across the face. And
Mm.
Dr. Hudson has fully and confidently just like left the room. Go back
I'm not
to
getting
wherever
involved
this
in
medical
this.
place is.
yep,
Oh,
this
you
is
mean
not
I'm
my
still
business.
working?
That's
I
fine.
still have a station? Yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
to work.
All right.
Well,
I think
Simply because
that-
I was told that I was like working at a station, and that's
Yeah.
a good place to
Makes-
probably get something info wise.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes complete sense.
And I have
and
nothing to add to this.
Yeah, I'm not getting in another fight.
I presume Villa would leave at this point, having made her point.
Yeah.
Okay. And she sort of glares over everybody imperiously, and then turns on her heel and marches out. Definitely self-assured and
Go
in
back
charge.
to your giant woman.
And that I think takes us to break. We're a little over, but this is probably a good spot to take a break. Twitch folks, stretch, go and touch some grass, look at the clouds, drink some water, hydrate. We will be back in a few minutes. For YouTube guys, see you in a couple of seconds. Bye, everybody. So when we last left our intrepid crew of the USS Curie, they had mostly come back to their senses, at least the senior staff had, through the judicial application of extreme shock therapy. And
Better not awaken anything in me.
Captain, first officer, a medical officer, and a couple of other senior staff from operations are back to themselves, or from tactical, pardon me. Commander Colin is still affected by whatever mind lock
Under the Queen's sway.
In a perfectly
much of the
wonderful
rest of the
place as a
crew.
servant of the giant lady.
So we're kind of we're kind of at a narrative situation. It's easy enough for you guys to play that you're still involved, like still wrapped up in the mind control. No one would suspect that you guys have broken out. There was no reason for anyone to think that might be happening. So it's very easy. It's a difficulty zero task to pass yourselves off as still being affected.
Because at this point, we have the memories of the past 2 weeks now, like what we've been going through, or
you
No,
remember?
you do.
Yeah, you do, but no one else does.
okay, gotcha.
Their reality ends about 2.5 weeks ago and begins with you shocking the hell out of them.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that whole time is gone, but you have access to other memories.
Right.
So Nirjad is aware that in the society that you find yourselves in, everyone who isn't a queen is in a rat race for ascension. There's a series of trials everybody goes through. If you wash out of the trials, you become a servant. Still respected and treated with honor and dignity. It's not like you're slaves or anything like that. In the mental construct that's given for you, those that fail the trials are still honored and they live honorable lives and in service of the queens. But the whole society is organized around these queens. You saw one of them who's in charge of the arena, but there's different queens that have different jobs. Now, aside from your assigned challenges that you guys are going to have to face from time to time, you pretty much have free roaming around. There's certain areas where you're not allowed within the city that you find yourselves, but for the most part, you're free to come and go as you please. It's not like you're restricted or treated as prisoners in any way. So there's a few sort of tasks to think about as you guys are sort of the resistance within this society. One is trying to figure out a way to get 273 people out of their enthrallment. So that's something you'll need to work on. Another big factor that you might want to consider is where's the Curie and what's happened to it and how do you get it back? Figuring out how you were grabbed and preventing it from happening again might also be something you might think about. And there are some questions about this planet and how it's structured. It doesn't seem like the society developed organically, so to speak.
Right. Yellow alert when we were scanning the beacon would have meant shields were up, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that means they beamed us off our ship while shields were up. Okay, cool.
Oh, damn. Even I know that's a big thing.
Yep. I was like, wait a second. Yeah.
And in your memory, you remember arriving with all of your gear. So presumably your gear, tricorders, phasers, and that kind of stuff would be located somewhere. So if you were to get your hands on familiar tools, you'd be able to get tool bonuses for various things and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we're at. You still, Commander Zakolin is still enthralled with the queens and appears to be in some position of authority. And the other crew are in most of them have ended up as servants, having washed out in some of the earlier stages. But all of you, except for Dr. Hudson, are still in the running as far as that goes. So how do we want to approach solving some of these problems? Or if there's, items 6 or 7 or 8 that you guys come up with that you want to investigate, how do we want to go about approaching that? Dr. Hudson would know that you have some potential allies. The two servants in the medical bay are not like the others. They seem to exist in some sort of other social construct. They didn't arrive with you. In fact, they were part of the group that was caring for you when you were first going through your indoctrination. Comparing notes with Nerjad, you would be able to pitch it in. So they are fixtures here independent of you and your crew and the trials. But they seem to be like loyal servants. But they are also sort of nurturing and educational personalities to them. So there might be some angles to pursue there. And I think that's about all you guys are aware of. Everyone else seems to have come from elsewhere. If you're not a queen or those two people in the medical bay, you have been brought here against your will and indoctrinated into this culture.
And this is info I get like from the computer that I was going to?
This is info you get by comparing notes and analyzing stuff that Nerjad is able to tell, and just some casual investigating over the next, call it a day, of you guys being broken out and just looking around and observing while you're going through your motions as candidates in the trials.
Sure.
So if there's anything specific you guys want to delve into, we can start picking up with that.
For Nerjad, there's just a little bit of fluff of having Dr. Hudson actually check out the captain and make sure the captain's back the way Nerjad is, and at that point Nerjad is like, "Captain, welcome back. You can have command because we're up a creek, sir."
Shit fucked, sir.
Shit is fucked, sir. How you doing?
Well, I can't say I dislike these garments.
They're breezy, right?
Indeed, quite comfortable and also daring, might I say.
And just because I know somebody's going to do a Zap Brannigan reference or something, these are not like, nobody's commando here. You all have subligars.
Hey, when in battle, yes, please.
So I'm saying if you're going commando, it's a personal choice, which
Right.
is fine. I'm not judging.
Would the captain? No, he wouldn't.
Ralph's outfit next
I
week
think
is
he'd
going to be
dressed in
great.
whatever's. What'd you say?
Chat has suggested that your outfit next week is going to be great.
Oh yeah.
Male presenting nipples.
Can't do that on
Hey,
Twitch.
Nope.
Not on my
what if they're
Christian
painted
stream.
on? Just
Um,
cover my actual. What I'll do is I'll get pasties, right?
Lord.
That are just
That are photos.
yes, that are facsimiles of my actual nipples. Yeah, I figured it out, everyone.
Quickly, let's get back on track.
Well, I am on track. I'm talking about what
That's-
Chichalor is wearing. So Chichalor would, he'd dress according to the expectations, right? He wouldn't
Mhm.
be, he wouldn't brandish his genitalia unnecessarily, right?
Sure.
So if the
It's
expectation was
befitting a
that,
starship captain.
That's an incredible sentence.
Oh god.
Thanks. I'm glad you
will not brandish his genitalia unnecessarily.
only in certain moments when it seems like we're going to achieve a necessary objective, especially in potential defense of his crew.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Okay, so
All right, Drew.
you have a few things in front of you, and you may come up with more that you want to explore. So where do we want to start?
What'd you say, Chris? Go ahead.
Dr. Hudson is essentially any terminal or device that he can get to without being mega suspicious.
Mhm.
A little suspicious, fine.
Yeah,
Sure.
He's trying to figure out what the technology, what the because I figured different societies have different coding languages and stuff like that, and so just trying to analyze how the computers are put together, what they're based on, programs that are running, and then actually getting into data and stuff like that.
Okay. You have a few avenues to do that. Do you want to try and do that surreptitiously on your own, or would you ask for assistance or something?
I mean, if
you
it's
do
over
have-
if it's over the course of a couple days, like he's fine just doing that himself
Okay.
because he also has less of a reason to be with Nerjad and the captain, right?
Sure. All right. So to sort of roll that into a few different things, how about you give me a insight science?
I
Just
think
because
this
it's unfamiliar technology, unfamiliar alphabets,
yeah, yeah,
language is
sounds
different.
good. I think this is definitely composure.
I'd say that will work.
While Chris is rolling that, do we have a sense of like an immediate life-threatening danger?
No.
Okay.
In fact, it doesn't feel like there's any danger here at all.
Okay.
It seems to be a peaceful society. This isn't like the contests are not blood sports.
Right. Okay.
Those who wash out are not, killed or vaporized. They just become like a
like
servant
Vok.
sort of class,
Right.
workers and that kind of thing. So that's pretty good. We can bank 2 momentum unless you want to do some information spends and ask me questions, and I will answer them.
I mean, yeah, I have that talent. So
Yeah. So if you spend momentum to ask a question, you get a second question for free.
right,
Mhm.
I would like to do that.
All right. So you may ask me up to 4 questions in groups of 2.
Okay.
You have so much extra momentum off your
Well,
thing there.
what do I figure out just from the base roll of doing this?
So this is actually a modern society that the trappings of the arena are just affectations.
kind of
Mhm.
traditionalism kind of stuff.
Yeah, traditionalism. But outside of the arena, like there's what you would consider modern or even futuristic buildings. There's transportation centers. There's a monorail goes around.
Oh wow.
That kind of stuff. This looks like an advanced society. Just where you guys were started is sort of the traditional trappings of it. The clothing appears to be cultural in nature. It has some similarities with like Greco-Roman sort of stylings, but the motifs and stuff are completely different.
Right.
So it's not like this is a Roman culture transplanted to another planet. There's some structural similarities in the clothing and designs and things like
Okay.
that. For the large people that live here, there's only women. So there's no male counterpart to those folks. And there's lots of queens, and they are definitely the ruling class. They each have different areas of responsibility. So there's a queen that looks after the arena. There's a queen that looks after the mental challenges, that kind of stuff. And other queens are responsible for different things, and they all have sections of the population of servants that are sort of assigned to serve them. So it's a little stovepipey, but there is some collaboration between them as well.
I have been delivered to a planet of giant Amazonesses, and I am playing a character who is Ace. This is
Yes.
Chris's
Causing
personal
me-
hell.
physically personal pain.
Which could be an interesting character development for Dr. Hudson.
No.
Um,
Yeah, so I think my first question is going to be something along the lines of do I have access to like a not necessarily just like a raw data map, but like think of it like a theme park map of like these are the important bits and these are the like you said
Sure,
they're
I'll
all, like,
give you that for free.
games or
that
whatever.
You can,
Yeah.
You can pull up a map of the city on any terminal.
Sure.
Mhm.
And so I guess he'd try and figure out more about the queens.
Sure.
Like what
Um,
like organizational structure of
Is there a super queen?
government or something? Yeah, is there a Giga Queen?
there.
Is she even bigger?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask for an additional roll from you.
Sure.
Because there's some possible connections there. But I will answer your question, but there might be additional information
Okay.
that you get, and it'll probably become clear. I think either in insight or reason, science, and or medicine, any combination of those of your choice. The information you
Absolutely,
get
I
will
will
be
roll
different.
reason medicine. Thank you.
Sure. The information you get will be different depending on what you choose.
Okay. I mean that is his like. When
Sure.
you talk about like passive perception in D&D, like this is his standard tack, right? Is
Sure.
from this lens do you approach the entire life, and that's
Oh,
4.
All right. And we'll give you 3 more momentum for
Yeah,
that.
we can bank all that.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, in your observations, the first thing that comes to you is there's queens of different ages,
Mhm.
But they all have a familiar resemblance.
Mm.
There's definitely an inheritance of some sort going on from one generation to the next. So the older queens look like older sisters for the younger queens, and so on down the line. You know that culturally, none of the queens talk about a mother.
Mm.
So whatever they're doing for reproduction, and maybe this is just a society thing, they don't seem to consider anyone like a mother figure. Nobody seems to raise them. From
Not
the
in that definition of the word, because
Not
I
by
know how
definition.
it's suspicion.
yeah. I will tell you that the 2 folks that work for you or with you are your supervisors in the medical wing, have other duties as well. And they are definitely in a different class that sort of exists outside of the queens.
Sure.
They still consider themselves subservient to them, but they don't necessarily seem to take orders from the queens.
Mm.
If that makes any sense.
Advisor role more.
More like they have duties that are not related to the queens, that the queens
Okay.
don't oversee.
Sure.
If
Do
that
we
makes sense.
pick
So
up the word
they still consider them like superiors and stuff, but what they do has nothing to do with the queens.
Sure.
Do we pick up the word
Um,
servitors?
Yeah, they would
Okay.
introduce themselves as servitors, actually, if you were in conversation with them. So there's Servitor 251 is the female one, and Servitor 264 is the male one.
Okay.
They're the only 2 that you see in the society.
Sure.
Or at least in
alright.
this city.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then I guess my I spent the 1 momentum. I've only asked 1 question so far.
Yep. So your second one?
The second one I think is going to be just running like a brute force search of what was the word that Nerjad would have told, or that we would have heard from the thing, Ascension. Yeah.
Sure.
What the fuck is this?
So throughout the recent history that you're able to pull up, there are several documented cases of folks ascending, and there's pictures of the individuals involved. They're from different races, some of which you have never seen before, that you're not familiar with at all, even as a Starfleet medical officer. So the people that are chosen for ascension lead honored lives, very comfortable. Their needs are taken care of. They have servants of their own. They live in like mansions and villas and live out their days as sort of honored by the queens. The queens appear to be grateful for whatever service Ascension provides, and they seem to live out their natural lifespans. It's not like they're liquefied and turned into a protein shake or something when they ascend. They're treated very well, and the queens are very grateful for their service.
I see.
And with the extra stuff you got, I would say that you can see some changes after every ascension in the next generation of queens.
Yep.
I was my brain hypothesis was that you ascend to become a giant woman.
But they still live out their natural lives. So
Sure.
whatever
that's
happens,
my hypothesis, right?
yeah. So it could be that they use these ascended individuals in some
sorry,
way in
yeah.
their reproduction in some sort.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we're gonna roll with that for
Sure.
a while.
And you have
Let everybody else know, and like, well, this is some sort of cultural replication.
all right, and you have 2 more questions if you wish.
Do
If you
You
if
had,
you spend the
two-
momentum.
If you want to spend the extra momentum, or we can back
Oh
on
no, I don't know what else to ask at the moment, so that's fine.
Oh, put one more in. Okay. Okay. Anyone else up to any activities?
Whatever
Next
Ralph wants to
date-
do in the next couple minutes.
Sure. Yep. Ralph's
Thank
good to
you. So you, I think, posed right when we came back from the break. Commander Kitnial was like, "All right, Captain. This is the situation. All right, what do we do?" And then I made a joke about garments, and then it got to a point where you're like, "Okay, we finish this up, right?" So, returning to that, Captain Trichalor, of course, briefly mused on how much he enjoyed the attire. I have a question for you, Craig. Do we have memories of our time on this planet at all?
Not until you awoken.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure. Wouldn't remember any of the gladiatorial combat, any of that, right?
Nope. You remember that you were on the bridge, and the just called a yellow alert because
Yeah.
an identified probe had been discovered
Okay.
that had a warp core power source.
Mm-hmm. Does Kitnial remember the battle?
Kitniel does through his symbiont,
Okay, great. Fantastic.
so he's filled in some blanks for you folks.
All right, excellent.
He doesn't
So-
have first-hand knowledge, but the symbiont it's complicated. Trill thing.
Mhm. All right. So, Captain Trichalor would first confirm that everyone was safe and healthy, and then he would resume a standard away protocol in hostile terrain that I'm pretty sure he and Kitniel drilled over and over, so that in the event that both of them were drunk or somehow, what's the word?
Incapacitated.
Yeah. Incapacitated, right? Like they were impaired. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, somehow impaired in some important way. They'd still be able to function according to their training enough to save some people. So
Right.
he starts going through, all right, crew complement, what we know of, how many people are around, right? How many people we can contact. He confirmed the nature of how Kitniel figured out to shock people out, right? Then he would ask if he is aware of where there might be a cache of weapons, where our gear is. And then he would ask, let's see, because he saw Lieutenant Zekelnin leave, right? Fantastic. Okay. So we'd say, okay, we need to make a plan to free her from whatever this effect is. And then he'd say, and we need to choose if we're going to play along and continue in this trial of ascension.
For now, Captain, I don't think we have much choice. We are kind of at their mercy.
I mean, that depends.
Actually, that
Depends
is
upon
true.
how you would like to resolve this. Do we have any evidence to suggest that this is the first contact scenario?
This is almost certainly a first contact scenario.
All right. So we've already inadvertently broken the prime directive.
Difference between warp civilization and first contact. Because
I guess that's a good point. Yeah, they haven't
Mhm.
met Starfleet. Okay, fair enough. They haven't met the Federation, I mean. Okay, yeah. I shouldn't conflate the two.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's not that you guys broke the prime directive; is that you were abducted from your ship and brought to this planet.
Yeah, I gather that. Just okay. I was forgetting a certain element of that. So
Mhm.
It's more.
I'm going to revise. Go ahead.
It's more.
No,
of
go
a,
ahead.
More of a coat.
So he would say, I think that diplomacy is often a good approach to managing difficult circumstances. You know, I am so inclined. However, I don't want to be anybody's pawn. And we have spent weeks under some kind of non-consensual mind control, forced to participate in an elaborate plot to glorify their own civilization.
Good point. Craig, who was in the crowd when we were fighting?
There were some crew members, and it'd be fairly easy for you guys to conclude that these were folks that have in the past washed out of the trials and joined the society as like a working class sort of thing. So that would be
and then just the one queen.
Then just the one queen.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Then, so we spent weeks under non-consensual mind control as part of an elaborate plot to glorify somebody else's civilization. And yes, we could adhere to certain protocol to try and learn as much as we can about them before we try and free everyone. And I certainly wouldn't want to endanger any other members of the crew through acting prematurely. However, let's be honest, Commander. We aren't so bad in a fight, especially together. There's no reason why we can't start that fight now.
I've thought about that. I think our first priority may be to, and like finds the little thing he clocked the captain with and said, miniaturize this a little bit. And that way we have something that we can more surreptitiously use to awaken the crew.
Oh, yes. Do we know if Jiffus is here? No, he would ask it differently. He would ask, do we know if Jiffus is alive?
Pretty sure. But yeah, because that was the commander's next step, was to find tech. Because if we've got medical, and Zokolnin is up here being I don't know.
The Imperious
Overseer?
The Overseer is a good one, yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, Jiffus is, chief engineer, so, and let's be honest, even a weak Vulcan is a pretty tough Vulcan, so.
Yeah, they're strong. No, I don't think, did we get any indication that Jiffus is weak? So.
No, his training has been more bookish than physical, but he's past basic, so.
You can look at his character sheet.
That's true. Good point.
But
so then the very next thing after, crew complement and stuff like that, and Jiffus is, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this, Craig, is the captain says, but anything we do, I'm not doing without the yeoman.
I mean, my plan is to waken everybody.
Of course. But I mean, in order to make sure that this is efficient and we do it the right way, I want to make sure that we have someone who's going to keep us honest on task.
That's yes, Captain. It's like Yeoman was definitely the last person on the list. Janitors?
Way down there.
Yeah, way down there.
Keck does have a gift for pointing out what you're doing wrong.
Right.
Yes, exactly. The
Effective.
captain has come to value that very much.
I love it.
It's the kind of thing where the captain isn't an imperious individual, right? The role, he has responsibilities, and as we asserted last time, right? Every link matters in the chain of command, right? So,
All about chains with you, huh?
Oh, trust me, we've said awaken and ascension enough
That's
times.
right. Hey, it's happening. So it's important to have to allow people to satisfy those roles, and the captain has never taken it as a sign of insubordination, right? We've resolved that before, right? So it's really valuable to him because Commander Kitniel reminds him of certain things different, right? Commander Kitniel is a little more regimented in how he engages the captain than Nurtek does. So it's really valuable to have the contrast too for him.
I think
I love that. I love that interaction. First one, we need to wake up in their Keck. Really?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Yeah,
Listen,
there's
Dr.
no room for
Hudson,
error. All right.
Dr. Hudson would find an opportunity to meet up with one of you at some point. Because like Craig said, we're not like under house arrest. It
Mhm.
doesn't seem like I'm being like worked to the bone as a medical person. So
Nope, not at all.
As a lackey.
yeah, as a so he would describe his plans of surreptitiously both studying the scanner tool that he's got and getting readings on crew members before you go about shocking them.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, more than happy to find Jiffus and bring him over to Dr. Hudson in some way.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that might be a little. Let's put a pin in that for now. Ralph, I know you got to go in about 10 minutes or so. So, was there a specific activity that the captain wanted to be engaged in?
Yeah, totally. It's time for the captain to be the captain, right?
Okay.
He's gonna now that we've discussed that and we can all go back to our respective tasks, right? He's like, okay, we're gonna do our jobs. His job, at least until we've initiated the plan and we're fighting back and taking over, right? Is to act like he probably would have as a magnanimous victor who's invested in this, and also to kind of try and surreptitiously get information by going around and interacting with people, being
Sure.
the diplomatic person he is. So, let's see. I don't think he could request an audience with the queen necessarily. No.
You do get an audience with the queen when you win in the arena.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Then he's going to plan to talk to the queen after the next fight. He's definitely going to fight at least one more
Sure.
time, unless we're able to get a sufficient members of the crew free before then. So go ahead.
Yeah, getting members of the crew free will be problematic because you're effectively, by the rules of this society, assaulting people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll have to be surreptitious. So we're talking like ones and twos at a time, not 30 or 40.
Oh, that makes sense. Totally.
You have a specialty in hand-to-hand combat and risky maneuvers.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just sort of quick narrate a couple of battles. If you can give me a daring and security roll with your
Yes.
focus applied. Just give me a
You
couple of those.
got it.
Sure.
Well, Ralph is
All
rolling
right,
that.
task roll. Let's see. And oh, you know what? The Ushan, he takes threat when he fights. Remember that.
Yes.
So that he can re-roll.
Can
so-
choose to.
Yeah, can choose to re-roll. Yeah.
Mhm.
And is it any dice in the pool? Any die in the pool? I mean.
I think if you're choosing to reroll, you can roll up to all of them with.
Okay,
Ushan
gotcha. Yeah, cool. Excellent.
So if you choose to reroll, you give me the threat, and then you can reroll as many as you want.
All right, fantastic. Yeah. So
While that's happening on, can somebody give me a reason engineering roll to miniaturize your shock device and possibly
Absolutely
duplicate?
not.
Cool. Plus
can give it a
one
shot.
threat for you. Do we have any momentum?
Yeah.
Yes. You've got 5.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I'm spending 2 to get 4 die. Sorry, a second bonus die.
Sure.
And rolling 4 dice. I'm gonna re-roll that 0,
Sure.
and I re-roll by
Let's do a task roll of 1.
1.
Test roll
Okay,
one.
cool.
Yep.
Great. Yes.
There we go.
5.
So confidently and with authority, win your next couple of bouts,
Mhm.
which has earned you an audience with the Arena Queen.
Yes.
And as you're brought to the throne, Commander Zakolin is there,
Mm-hmm.
sort of at her right hand, as she congratulates you and offers you, her well wishes, and is pleased with your victory.
Wonderful. My
Um,
queen.
Mhm.
I wonder, are there ever any victors that you consider unfit for ascension?
The trials are intended to make those decisions, so personal preferences don't enter into it.
That's why. It is just something I question sometimes. At times, when I fight, I fear that my opponents have less honor.
While honor and integrity are certainly parts of the trials, this particular section that you are in now is more physical ability,
Hmm.
And cunning. It's about victory, not necessarily following. You understand?
Ah, yes.
There are other trials that weed out more morality and integrity sides of things, and those are overseen by other queens. All
Oh.
you need to focus on when you're here is being the last one standing.
Hmm. Well, I aim to please, and I rarely lose my focus.
And she has a look on her face like, like when a kid tells you something that you already know, but of course, she says.
Yeah. Like she's indulging
Yes.
my statement.
Like she's very aware that you live to please. And,
Yeah. That's great. Then what would I say? Oh, I know what he would ask. This is a risky maneuver. Okay, this is risky diplomacy that he's about to attempt. He then says, I was also thinking, my garments were chafed me a bit during the last bout. And I'd value a little help from, and then he describes Jiffis. He describes Chief Engineer Jiffis. I'd value his help in perhaps adjusting it to accommodate certain differences in my anatomy.
And he has skills in these areas?
I
This
suspect
individual
so.
that you speak of?
Yes, it seems that he is reserved and doesn't like to share his insights always. But I bet, considering my status, that he'd be willing to provide them.
He did do well in the mental trials, but not so well in the physical ones.
I would appreciate his insight despite his lack of physical mettle.
The queen considers for a moment and says, Frilla,
Yes.
I am disposed to grant a boon for the amazing displays we've been seeing in the arena the last few days. Are you aware of this individual?
I could find him for you.
Certainly. See that he's made available, if you wouldn't mind.
Very well. I will escort him to our champion's chambers.
Thank you, my dear.
Cubicle.
Wherever
and
they
she-
go.
Sixpack gives you a smile like she's just given you a great honor.
He kneels and he bows and then kneels, as it belt and suspenders, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then says, "I am humbled and grateful as always. Thank you, my queen."
You may go.
And he does.
Okay. So Jiffis.
Backing away, not turning his back on her, right?
So it is possible for you to arrange for Jiffis and Zuckelman to
Fantastic.
be in the gladiators' quarters together at
Yes.
a predetermined time.
Yes.
So it's entirely possible for you all to lay a trap for them.
Excellent.
It's not a trap, it's a rescue, Craig.
He is
Sure.
You're going to assault
us.
us.
He's going to call it a rescue trap, right? So briefly before I have to go, he wants to come. I want to do this in character real quick. So Captain Chichilo comes back to the barracks and then goes to talk to Kitniel, right? And makes like a try and make a show like it's a rivalry thing. And then when they have the arm thing again, right? He like pulls him in close and he's like, "I was able to trick you into getting Grilla, bring Jiffis here, and then we can have a rescue. Free them from this mind control."
Thank you,
All
Captain.
right.
He smiles like, "I told you I'm good." As though it needs to be acknowledged, right? Like this is what you do, right? That's why you're in the role. But he's like,
All right. Just to see how well it goes off, like I have no,
Yes.
I think you're going to be just fine.
Uh-huh.
But those involved in the trap can give me a daring security roll,
Yes.
sort of as a group effort sort of thing.
All right.
Do I
Team
get to roll
dynamics.
to contest it?
You can roll uncontested if you wish. Jiffus won't.
Uh-huh.
It's not going to be a problem it's not going to be a problem to get her out of the mind control. It's
Yeah.
what happens is a possible fallout from it.
Of course.
Mhm.
Always threat. Use momentum.
Yeah, you guys have spent 2.
So if
So we got
other
3
people
left.
are going to spend momentum, that's totally fine, right?
Mhm.
So I'd let them first, and then if there's any left,
Oh no, go
then
ahead
I
and
use
spend it up.
with the assumption that we might get more, right? Like, did we get any momentum from the last time? I got 5.
No, I'd pour that into getting the boon and basically dictating the terms of what you wanted out of all that. So
Excellent. Just wanted to make
if,
sure
if you
Yeah.
consider that a fair trade.
that is a totally fair trade. I got the outcome I wanted, right? I'm not complaining. Wanted to make sure I understood. All right, yeah. So I will, with 1 threat, I'll buy an extra die.
Sure.
And this is, right in with what he likes to do. And it's an unorthodox solution. So 3 dice. I'm going to re-roll both ones. Or both 20s.
20s, yeah.
Ah,
Well, I got 2.
nuts.
And was there a dragon to roll?
Absolutely. I was waiting to see how much momentum we had left after Ralph
Yeah.
rolled. So we have 3.
I didn't take any momentum.
Okay.
I
No,
I
that's
spent
fine.
threat.
So we have 3.
Cool.
I'm being nice and not stealing any also.
Oh yeah.
And
I
so
did
it's,
consider it.
it's 1 momentum for 1, and then 2 momentum for an additional 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'm just going to clear our
Use 'em.
momentum out and roll 4.
Do it.
Because notably, now I know how much we got and how much Ash got.
Yeah.
Daring and security.
Yeah.
Wow. 2, 4, 5, plus your assistance from
Yes.
Shavor. 6, 7 against the 2 from Zakonin. No problem. You're able to very quickly and quietly extricate her from the mind control, and Jiffus is not a challenge at all in that regard. Without raising any suspicions, no one's calling for guards, no one's being arrested. It all happens very quickly and quietly. Commander Zuckelman, you come to your senses in the gladiators' quarters. You're not sure how you know they're gladiator quarters. You don't have any clear memory of what happened recently, and you have no idea how you got here, but you're definitely wearing different clothing than you're expecting, and you're surrounded by the senior staff. Quick memory cube insert as they catch you up to speed on everything that's been happening. And you also have Jiffus available as a resource as well now.
Good stuff.
So all the senior staff is out, and I think that's when Ralph turns into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
Everybody, was great to come back to this. Whoop whoop. So exciting, and I look forward to watching what the rest of y'all do in the remaining time.
All right.
Cool.
Right.
See you, bud.
Bye,
See you
Ralph.
later.
Quick overlay swap.
Right there.
Okay.
Hell yeah! Look at that. We're a professional stream today.
So the captain's going to be tied up in duels and continuing through the physical trials for the foreseeable future. What do the rest of you wish to get up to in the remaining time?
Nurjad is playing the heel to the captain's face, and
Sure.
probably still getting into some fights because he wants to continue on. We don't want to.
And Nujad still has trials ahead
Right.
of him, right? Like he
Exactly.
didn't wash out completely. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And so wants to maintain. We don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. So he's going to continue doing that, but he's going to make the big show of not liking the captain and setting that up in case there's ever a chance where it comes down to, it's going to come down to these two, and that way it's set up for the 2 of them to be the final contenders. That way the USS Curie has control of that outcome.
Sure.
Nurjad can take the dive again or whatever.
So you're trying to position yourself for a rematch with the captain.
if it's necessary, but
Sure.
otherwise it's just maintaining a spot in the running.
Sure, no problem.
But otherwise, yeah. Hi, Jiffus. We need to miniaturize this thing. Go ahead, Chris.
I've been trying to get to that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, especially once Jiffus is around. The doctor's working with him because I don't have any like medical things to do right now. No one's like getting, actually harmed very hard. And so working on figuring out the mechanics of the like stun baton stuff. And I guess with the help of Lieutenant Zuckelman, her stun baton.
Yes.
Another look at the tech of these things, to miniaturize that, and then also try and work out the scanner tech a little bit more as well, to the point where Dr. Hudson is going to suggest that Lieutenant Zuckelman scan the queen when she goes back to her. Surreptitiously, of course.
Okay. And that was a reason science roll that you gave me before?
I haven't rolled.
Yeah, it has.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Because you called for reason engineering.
Yeah.
Reason engineering with what's his name? Help?
Jiffus.
Jiffus's help?
Yeah, Jiffus will, any success that Jiffus gets, or Jiffus can drive and you can help Jiffus.
Yeah, we'll help Jiffus.
And I have something for Ash coming up right away. Reason engineering. So you're just rolling 1 for your task roll as an assist?
Okay.
Okay.
I did not.
Okay, but Jiffus did very well.
Yep.
So is definitely able to decipher the technology and instruct you in its use. So you now have effectively a functioning tricorder.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do with it whatever you could do with a tricorder. It's definitely much more miniaturized than anything the Federation could produce.
Right.
And with Jiffus's help, you're able to analyze it. This is probably, well, it's hard to give a time frame, but this is definitely more advanced than anything the Federation has or has encountered.
Like a rough estimate of how far ahead they are.
Decades, centuries.
Yeah, after a certain point, the projection sort of becomes meaningless.
Okay.
So there's devices on this, like sub devices on this that he can't understand.
Right.
But he is able to intuit the function of the device overall.
Right.
So he can teach you how to use it, but he doesn't necessarily know how it works.
Right.
It would take a lot of more study for him to get that level of detail. Yeah, sort of like a Dark Ages individual discovering a Polaroid camera. He can make it work. He doesn't know how it works, but he can use it to produce pictures. It's all magic sort of stuff happening. For Zuckelman, you have direct and immediate access to one of the queens, but you're going to have to figure out how to maintain the ruse. She seems to know you better than she knows anyone else. So how are you going to go about doing that?
Honestly, probably not going to spend much time with the crew, if at all possible, because I do want to not let her know that I'm not mind controlled anymore. I am gonna ingratiate myself with her. One thing I do want to do,
go ahead,
if I can get the chance, is I want to try to get in a position with her to where I could maybe get access to some of the computer systems. I want to try to find our ship.
Sure. So let's see how well you do getting in with her. I'm thinking a presence command, or you can pitch me something else.
Yeah, those aren't very good skills, but that's all I can think that works, really.
If I can jump in here and having Nerjad coach and be like, okay, these are a couple things, and especially pulling from the symbiont's memories of what interactions that Nurjad has seen between the two of them. I know it's going to be a die, but just a little assistance to be like, hey, these are the couple things that, we have observed, or, well, I have observed.
And I can see a case for infiltration being applicable, and we could do present security since you're trying to effectively infiltrate.
Yeah, that's good.
Sure.
Okay.
And I was looking at my values, and like a couple of these could work. I like emotion in a crisis only makes things worse.
That could
So
definitely,
like just
for sure.
trying to play it cool.
Mhm.
that would definitely apply.
Okay, so
Am I good for presence
using
and
determination just gives you a 1, right?
You've got a critical, so there's 2 successes already. So
Okay.
3 successes total. You're considered a trusted servant by the queen. She has no reason to doubt you, so it's easy enough for you to pass yourself off. And you have 2 extra momentum that you can either use for gather information, or we can bank those at your choice.
Yeah, for gathering information, can I do the surreptitious scan as part of that?
Sure.
Yeah, just to try to get some information for the doctor.
Okay. So I'll give you this for one gather information. Is this queen and the other queens, there's some genetic drift between the generations, but they are definitely very closely related, to the point where it would be a very strong inference that these are actually clones or
Just
some
new
sort of
information.
eugenics program going on. These are artificially produced individuals, and they're mixing in desired elements from other species to randomize their DNA as they're being produced.
Okay.
And if you want to ask another question,
The other one was going to be to try to find some information on, I mean, not just the ship, but more like where we are. Because
stellar location.
yeah.
all right. So exploring the computer system, it's easy enough for you to get access to it. So there are some things that you get. For example, everybody in the city has tracking of some kind. It is possible for you to isolate and locate individuals from the crew.
Okay. Good.
So you have the entire population, their location at a glance. Information about the larger galaxy, where you guys are in space, all that information appears to be behind some sort of a security screen.
Paywalls, man.
And it's not a paywall. And when you ask about that, the queen says that's caretaker level knowledge.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's it for momentum. So is there anything else you wanted to do as your interactions with the queen that you have access to or unrestricted? That's not a problem.
Not right now, I don't think. I just want to try to play my part as well as possible. To see once we have a more solid plan. I'm gonna relay everything I've learned back to everyone else, like surreptitiously, but mostly I'll see them after bouts.
Right.
That's probably about it.
Yep. And since your queen is responsible for the arena, it's no problem for you to get access to the gladiators in a particular time or the medical area as well.
Yeah, it's just I'm not like palling around with them.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Hudson, can I get from you an insight? What am I looking for? Insight something.
Sounds like a medicine check.
No, I don't.
Man,
Well, sure, insight medicine, sure. We can give that a try.
can I have a crumb of context?
This is a possible thread that you would become available to you as you're just going about your normal duties.
Sure.
This would be like in D&D the equivalent of an insight check.
Sure.
All right. So we'll bank one of those momentum.
Oh yeah.
So let's do that. And when you're about your job, you find that the two servitors, 251 and 264, are very willing to answer questions.
Okay.
And I'll also give you for free, if you wish, you can scan them.
Mm-hmm.
And these
Absolutely.
are definitely not biological creatures. These are artificial life forms.
Ah,
The
Just
equivalent
for,
of an android.
okay.
Android.
Yep.
hmm So they're like circuitry and gears and memory banks and stuff like that. These are mobile computing platforms.
Cool.
But they are very willing to answer questions. So if you have any questions, I will give you 2 questions for free.
Okay.
And if you want to do any more probing, it'll be more die roll would be required. But you may ask of them 2 questions. Just to clarify, it doesn't have to be questions from them. It could be questions about them.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. Did they appear to be? Yeah, I guess from the scans, are they hive-minded at all, or are they independent processing units?
They are independent.
So then, like in the case that we have to like grab one of them. And then,
Yeah, as
like,
far as you can
yeah,
tell,
yeah,
there
yeah.
is no like wireless communication between them.
Okay. All right.
They communicate through speech and touch and
And then
I can pitch something.
yeah,
Who they report to? Because if they're not reporting to the queens,
right. Yeah, I think he'd kind of just get, curious at some point, and the like trying to like keep the mask up of just doing all this boring shit for so long gets to him, and like, all right, so the two of you are independent of the queens, but do you have someone that you report to? Another
they're not
entity?
cagey or trying to hide their answer at all. Like they just say, just plainly, we answer to the caretaker.
And they are?
The caretaker cares for the city and for the queens.
Singular. Oh, okay, interesting. Cares for the city. Okay. Sounds like a wonderful person.
They have a great admiration for the queens.
As should we all. Yeah?
Absolutely. If you wish to go any deeper, we can do a roll for that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Also, you have that 1 momentum that you earned, so you can do an information spend.
I'm happy to roll it.
Yep.
We want like a presence or reason. I don't know.
Depends on how you want to approach it. Are you trying to get an emotional feel or delve into?
How about since I know that they're like androids, right? And it seems to be pretty open and logical, like just data, right?
Sure.
Like both the character and also the stuff.
Well-
Like a reason command roll to sort of.
Sure, but you also have the trait that you can use your medicine roll in place of command.
Oh right,
Doctor's
yeah. I forgot
orders.
about that. Yeah.
So you can do a reason command roll or a reason
Great.
medicine roll and
Sounds
treat
good.
it as a command.
Well, yeah, I think it's just trying to get steer the conversation to the right places, right?
Sure.
And this feels like lead by example to me, of like being very like, especially with the captain very much
relying on us to fulfill our roles that we normally have in the crew and live up to those standards.
Except the relationship you have with these folks are not. There isn't a command structure there. You're not leading them at all. But I would say composure would apply.
Okay.
Because you know more than about your current state than they do. So you're trying to dig without. So yeah, I'd say composure would apply.
Ha! Damn.
Oh wow. Okay.
Dude, I told you I do not roll. I said it in episode 0 that I watched today. Like I do not roll.
So
14.
You may ask me 2, 4, or 6 questions, but the one answer you've earned just from the success, I will give you for free. You may ask a question before we get into possible momentum spends.
How long have cycles of ascension gone on?
So they can report secondhand that they've been going on for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
They personally have been around here for 187 years.
Okay.
Babies.
I'll spend a momentum for 2 questions.
Sure.
How frequent is an ascension trial?
Those are unpredictable. It depends on when Caretaker provides new subjects.
Somebody comes too close. Okay.
But when new subjects arrive, that starts an ascension cycle.
By what means do new subjects arrive?
There is a warning. So the Caretaker provides an alert that a new cycle is about to begin, and subjects appear in the arrival area. And based on conversations you've had with Nurjat, that's the large auditorium / arena sort of place where you guys all first arrived.
Right.
So
And where
subjects
the
show up
combat
there.
happens too, or no?
Nope,
Separate
that's a separate location.
Okay.
So subjects arrive in an incapacitated state. They are treated and prepared for their indoctrination into the culture, and then a new cycle begins.
I think that's like as far as he would push it. Like I know I can personally like spend more momentum, but it feels that's like that's how far he'd be willing to like push the conversation.
They don't appear to have any like wariness or edginess. Like they're completely open and honest about any question that you've asked them so far.
Sure.
They don't seem to be choosing their words or hedging their answers at all. So if you want to ask more, feel free. But your choice.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean that Dr. Hudson trusts it, right? Like even if he gets the feeling they're not doing anything, it doesn't mean that they're not being monitored and like double checked and when they get back.
Yeah, I mean, if they're this willing and open to talk to you, they possibly are to other people and about you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that he does understand generally is secrecy.
There are people here that
the
are
importance thereof.
There are people here who are not part of our ship, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Debating zapping them to find out where they came from.
Zapping them. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I think that's definitely going to have to happen. Just trying to figure out what kind of person Nurjad would look for.
And
Who seems
it is impossible to know what sort of person is under the conditioning.
Yep.
Like you may end up shocking out a murderous lunatic or a devout pacifist or
I was gonna say with Dr. Hudson's position in the medical bay area, and our if I can float the idea that we like have miniaturized these shockers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we did that with Jiffus, right? Into like
Yep.
about a coin-sized sort of thing, where he can
Sure.
just like plop it on
Literally
somebody
palm
when
it.
they come through.
The joy buzzer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, just a joy buzzer. You just go to rub somebody's hair, and
Right.
it'd be enough to get them out.
So crew members that are coming through the med bay for any reason,
Sure.
he finds safe, so like surreptitious ways to
Yeah.
buzz them.
No problem. And also with all of those successes you got, and we'll bank the other 2 momentum. The 2 servitors are very impressed with your insight and your questioning mind. And in the coming days, that's going to bring about a change in your relationship. They're going to be giving you more complex tasks and teaching you a little bit more about the tools that they use and that kind of thing, and making more use of your abilities, should you be willing to allow that to happen.
Sure.
No
Mhm.
lackey.
Not
Yeah,
sure how I ended up in a grunt position in the first place, but
Well, they had no idea that you had this level of skill. But now that you're a resource that they
did I fail out of the physical test first? Is that why? That I didn't make it to the other test or something?
Yeah, it could be, and they don't necessarily know all of the details.
Sure.
Mhm. So they lean heavily on you for your knowledge of the species biology that you're familiar with, because some of the contestants that come through they aren't familiar with. They don't know the biologies of everybody that comes through. So they end up drawing on that knowledge quite a bit and improving some of their techniques and things like that. So there's a good exchange of information. So you can now use that scanner that you've got as a tool to get a tool bonus for medical tasks and things
What does
like that
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 do?
you're
I don't
using.
remember.
You can use it as a bonus die, basically.
Oh, cool.
Okay. It's a very advanced scanner with their assistance in education and stuff. You can now apply it as a tool bonus when you're using it.
Cool.
It's sort of in place of when you have your ship, you can use the ship,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you don't have the access to the
right.
tree. So yeah, same
Oh,
sort of.
I was gonna ask on behalf of Ash,
Mhm.
when she realizes you can track everybody, are our crewmates like spread throughout different camps of queens?
Or is it all in one city?
Are we all in this one part in the like combat queen area?
So the crew is scattered throughout the city.
Okay.
There's different sectors that sort of seem focused around different challenges and trials and stuff like that, and everyone kind of moves through in a clockwise fashion through the different things as they're progressing through. But your crew is scattered all throughout the city. I will also tell you this: that there is only one city on wherever you are.
Okay.
So the entire population appears to be contained within this one city. It's possible that there's other stuff beyond what you've got, and this could be some sort of a dome or an isolation. But as far as you can tell, the only population exists within this one city. It's quite large.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, like a
Okay.
million people, or
Several 100,000 for sure. But a lot of the city is vacant.
right?
So
So
it
it's
has the
really
capability
big.
to hold. It has the capability to hold millions of people.
Wow.
But there's only several 100,000 that are actually located here right now.
And aesthetically, it's all sort of future Greek.
Yeah, like an advanced Greco-Roman sort of aesthetic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Built to
but
8 foot
lots of-
tall proportions?
So there are buildings and stuff that have been obviously remodeled for smaller stature species, but a lot of the main buildings, and especially around the core, are for
Mm.
8 to 10 foot tall
Interesting.
people. And there's a lot of statuary, as you might expect from a Greco-Roman esque kind of society, but it's all
So those are real
women.
big.
Mm-hmm.
Those are real big, and they're all women.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know we're right here at the end, but
Yep.
I have a focus in cultural studies.
Sure.
Nerjad is going to go full tourist since
Okay.
since they have the ability to walk around and just try and figure out from context clues stuff that's on display, murals, statues, stuff like that, to figure out the origin culture of this city and to see if the queens or some other thing are here, especially hearing about a caretaker. Just like without interaction, just trying to snoop about. Well, not even snoop, just to, wander about and try and figure.
So call that a reason science? Or maybe a reason security. You can pitch me on that if you want.
I mean, yeah, I think reason security sounds right, but anything with security sounds right.
You're looking to understand these people, so yeah, I'll go for that, sure.
Focus.
You do have 3 momentum available. Oh,
Yeah.
Don't need it.
Nope. No, and specifically this, because I realized this is something that the Trill is like, yeah, I want to know about this shit.
All right.
Yeah.
So you have up to 2 for information gathering if you wish.
Yeah.
But for the 1 success, I will tell you that this is a stagnant society.
Mhm.
And everything that you're looking at gives you the impression that this is built on the ruins of a much older civilization.
Mhm. Yeah, this is basically the tapering end of whatever this is.
No, this is like somebody transplanted something else in the literal ruins of an extinct civilization.
Gotcha. Okay, so a lot of this,
but it has not
the
developed.
queens?
Well, this is all about the queens. Everything else is sort of ancillary. The Society of the Queens appears to have been a transplant into the ruins that existed before.
Right.
Like literally just pluck up and set down is sort of the feel you have for it. But it is stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
It has not developed from that time. It's the culture appears to be almost frozen in time. There's no development. There's no new stuff. It's all paying homage to something that used to exist a long, long time ago, and they just kind of did a revival of it or something. But you have up to 2 information spends if you wish.
Yeah. The big ones for me are, so the queens are not the originals. They're a transplant or a, like you said, a rehabilitation or something like that.
Yes and no. The physiology of the queens matches almost exactly the statuary.
Mm-hmm.
Their proportions match the older buildings that are disused. So it somehow seems like it might be a throwback or maybe a branch that came back or something. There's some additional possible questions around that. But whatever brought them back has also stopped them from developing.
Right. Got them on this very ascension focused thing. Cool. And then in that case, yeah, the other question is just looking about, are the queens aware of how they're limited, basically? Because the queens seem in charge of these things, but based on what you're saying and it being stagnant, it sounds like they have a job and that's what they're doing. Or a better way to put it is, what are the queens doing on the day-to-day that is not their labor, their job, their work? Do they appear to have social lives, hobbies?
They do engage in social activities, but these seem it's hard to describe, but like a simulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're doing stuff because this is what they think they should be doing rather than and it's not that they don't have free will, it's just they never considered anything else.
Right. No, you're
what we
on the
do in
same
our-
page I am. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And there was something else I was going to throw in there as well. The queens seem to have a focus as well. Like this whole ascension thing, the trials, the selection of 10 specimens from every cycle is very important to them.
Mm-hmm.
They have some sort of a goal that they're aspiring to that this is a necessary part of. No information on what that might be, but there does definitely seem to be a plan that the Queens are very invested in whatever this trial will eventually produce. And they understand that it may take thousands of years to produce it.
Gotcha.
But they're committed to the process, and they have a definite goal in mind, but you're not able to isolate what that goal might be. It's not talked about openly.
Yep. And that's fine. Perfect. That's yeah.
Want to give Ash a chance for one more thing? Or
Sure.
If you had any ideas.
No, I was waiting until we got Ralph back and we're able to move forward.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was like, let's do the last little information gather. So
Okay. So that's kind of it for tonight, I think, unless we do have 3 momentum banked, so we could do some more information gathering if you guys wish. But otherwise, I think we'll probably wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Anything else wanted
because
to
our
fit in before
momentum carries over to next session. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Technically, we lose one every scene, but I've been not paying too particular attention. This is all kind of one big mega scene.
We tend to gain and spend it pretty quickly. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's it for tonight, folks. Thank you very much for joining us for this mini series as we take a break from Mage the Awakening. Thank you to Roll20 and our patrons for all of your support. Join us on Discord, please, at geekinto.space. It's a great community. Even if you just come and lurk, it's just like it's a positive place to just hear good things. It's a very good community. If you wish, you may support us on Patreon at staylucky.club. The money raised there goes into artwork and gear upgrades and that sort of thing, which helps us do the thing that we do every week for you guys. And I guess that's it. So we'll see you all next week. Thank you all very much. I hope you had a good time. I really enjoyed it. I've been looking forward to this for
So
a while.
glad to be back to Star Trek. It's good. And I'm the player
Right.
again.
Fun.
Yep. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
folks.